Hello! Welcome to my basement, sort of my studio. For this part of the video about my costume, I have it set up on my dressmaker's dummy, which I made, which is why it's kind of wobbly. But it cost me 10 bucks total, probably. Possibly less. So I can't complain too much. It's made out of duct tape. So here you can see the full costume, and the pockets, that's how they work. I'm very proud of them. The wig is over there. I'll grab it in a sec so I can show it off. Or maybe I'll just take the camera over there, that would be easier. So for those of you who aren't as into Tolkien as I am, I just wanted to take this opportunity to kind of tell you a little about the character that I was. His name is Maglor Feanorian. He's from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion, which is the story of Middle-earth before The Lord of the Rings, or The Hobbit. Maglor is one of the 7 sons of Fëanor, who's the guy who made the Silmarils, which is what the name Silmarillion comes from. The book is literally the story of the Silmarils, so obviously that means Maglor plays an important part because he's the second of Fëanor's 7 sons. The sons are Maithros, Maglor, Celegorm, Corufin, Caranthir, Amrod, Amras. And I know I got those middle ones mixed up a little in terms of birth order, but they don't really matter in this context. So basically what happened is Fëanor made these stones. They were super awesome. Everyone wanted them. And then Melkor, who's kind of the evil god, I say that in quotation marks because Tolkien had issues with the idea of a polytheistic religion, but that's kind of what he created. So Melkor stole the stones and left Valinor, which is where the elves were. If you remember at the end of The Lord of the Rings, Elrond and everybody sails off into the sunset. They're returning to Valinor. Of course, at this point, Elrond's not been born yet, but the elves leave Valinor. The only one of the elves that leaves Valinor at this time, following Fëanor, that you would have heard of, is Galadriel. So they leave Valinor, some crazy stuff happens. Melkor still has the Silmarils, but Luthien, who you may know because Luthien is who Elrond is descended from, that's why he's half-elven. Luthien falls in love with the mortal Beren, wants to marry him, her dad says no. And she's like, please, I love him. And her dad's like, you're an elf. And so he says, you can marry him if you bring me one of the Silmarils. Because, I mean, he's basically saying when pigs fly. But she and Beren go off, they get one of the Silmarils, and it becomes a family heirloom. And eventually, Beren and Luthien die. The stone goes to their son, Dior, who has a daughter named Elwing. I'm leaving a lot out. So, Dior now has the Silmaril. The sons of Fëanor are like, hey, that belongs to us. Because at this point, Fëanor is dead, and his sons have sworn an oath that they'll be damned forever if they don't reclaim the Silmarils. Like I said, they're super into shiny stuff. So the sons of Fëanor are like, can we please have this? You got it from Melkor. He still has 2, but you have 1. So that's the easiest one to get. We want that back. And Dior says, no, it's mine. Which is completely insane. His mom stole it from a guy who stole it. It doesn't belong to him. But he thinks it does, so the sons of Fëanor sack his city and kill him and all of his followers. Not all of them. Because Elwing, his daughter, escapes with the Silmarils. Note, she saved the Silmaril, but not either of her 2 brothers, who did die. So now Elwing has the Silmaril, and then she meets a guy named Eärendil, I think that's how it's pronounced. If you're familiar, Bilbo, in the Lord of the Rings books, sings a song about Eärendil the Mariner. That's this guy. So Elwing and Eärendil meet, they fall in love. They're both not the world's greatest elves. Eärendil is from Gondolin, which has at this point just been destroyed. So Gondolin's destroyed, it's gone, boom. So now they have the Silmaril. They also have 2 sons, Elrond and his brother Elros. The sons of Fëanor, there's only 4 of them left. At this point, Maglor, Maithros, Amrod, and Amras. They say, hey, can we have the Silmaril, please? And Elwing's like, no, I like this stone. Erlindil is off at this point trying to find Valinor because the elves have been banned from it. The ones that left, there's still a couple of elves in Valinor, but the elves that left are banned from it, so he's trying to find his way back to try and get the gods to help them defeat Melkor because he's kind of destroying everything. So he's off, the Sons of Fëanor attack and the city where Elwing is, and she jumps off a cliff with the rock and leaves her 2 children because she's a wonderful mother. So at this point there's only 2 Sons of Fëanor because they keep dying. There's Maglor and Maithros. This is Maglor, and they take Elwing's sons captive, but they actually end up befriending them, and Maglor becomes something of a father figure to the children, who it's speculated by a lot of fans may never actually have met Erlindil, because we know they were very young when the sack of their home happened, so they may never have met Erlindil. Elwing was super obsessed with the Silmaril, so she wasn't really around much, so even though these 2 guys have just destroyed their home, they're technically cousins, very distantly, but they kind of become their family for a while. And then the gods do finally come, and there's this giant battle between the good guys and Melkor. Melkor falls. The Valar claim the Valar is the good guys, that's the gods that are good. Once again, very general. They take the 2 Silmarils that he still has remaining, and they say, these are ours now. And the Sons of Fëanor who remain are like, why are they yours now? Our dad made those. And they're like, no, you did bad stuff, so this doesn't belong to you anymore. They don't want anything else that belongs to them. They just want the jewels because they're not really as different from Melkor as they think they are. So the Sons of Fëanor, who at this point, we don't know exactly how, have been separated from Elrond and Elros. Elrond and Elros are now with Gil-galad, who's the king. He's the guy that dies when Isildur gets the ring, if you've seen the Lord of the Rings movies. The big elf guy that Elrond freaks out when he dies in that flashback. That's Gil-galad. So he's with him now. Elros has chosen to be immortal. So he sails off with a bunch of humans to found Numenor, which the people of Gondor are descended from. And the Sons of Fëanor try to reclaim the last 2 Silmarils. They actually do end up getting those 2 Silmarils. And having them, they're so powerful and they're so upset by everything that they've done to get these jewels that Maglor throws his into the ocean, and Maithros throws both himself and his jewel into a fiery volcano thing. And obviously kills himself and dies, because you don't survive jumping into a fiery volcano thing. That's a really watered down version of the Silmarillion. I left out a ton, but that kind of explains who Maglor is and his relationship to Elrond. Maglor never died. It's said that he's still wandering the shores of Middle-earth, singing in pain and regret to this very day, because if you remember, Middle-earth, after everybody who's awesome in magic leaves, eventually becomes England and Europe. So it's said that he's still wandering the shores, but most fans, myself included, prefer to think that he was eventually forgiven, because he was kind of the son of Fëanor who was the sane one of the bunch, if there was one. And I'm a huge supporter of the Sons of Fëanor. I think Luthien and Dior and Elwing were very in the wrong and shouldn't have kept the Silmarils, but that's a big debate in the fandom. A lot of people disagree, and think that the Sons of Fëanor were in the wrong, but they were gonna go to what was basically worse than hell if they didn't get the rocks back, so I don't see how it belonged to them. Stealing from a thief doesn't mean you own it now. So that's Maglor. That's who he is. That's a little bit about the Silmarillion. We really don't know what happened to him. As I said, most of us prefer to think that he was eventually forgiven and allowed to return to Valinor. Quick note about Valinor. That's why Galadriel has that big moment where she says, I will diminish into the west and remain Galadriel. And the reason that's important is because the Valar basically said, well, anybody who was born in Middle-earth can come here, but if you were here and then you left and now you want back, you can't come. And Galadriel was, like I said, the last of the elves who came from Middle-earth. Galadriel, as I said, was kind of the last of the elves that came from Valinor to Middle-earth to still be alive. All of her brothers, all of her cousins, everybody died. Her daughter had to leave because Galadriel's daughter's married to Elrond, actually. They are cousins. Galadriel and Celeborn are also cousins. And so Galadriel being allowed to return is a super big deal. Another fun story about Galadriel, while I have your attention, the reason she gave Gimli 3 strands of hair instead of just 1 is because 3 times Fëanor asked her for a strand of her hair. Now keep in mind, he was her uncle, and he was asking for strands of her hair because he was that enraptured by it. Little creepy. So that's why she refused him all 3 times. Even though he was considered the greatest of the elves, and this was before he truly went insane and started killing people. So, by giving 3 strands of hair to Gimli, she's saying, I like you more than I like the greatest elf of all time. Big deal. So I went on a bit of a tangent. I'm gonna be posting this video separate from my other videos about the costume, which I think I'm gonna pile into one, maybe? Not sure yet. But this definitely got longer than I intended. But that's the story of Maglor Feanorian. So we're gonna make this part 1 of my series on my Halloween costume. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like my narration of the Silmarillion in like 20 minutes or less. I don't know how long this is gonna end up. And there will be more later. Eventually I'm going to put it back on, the whole thing with the fake ears, the wig, the makeup, everything. Here are the ears, but at some point I am going to do that for a video so you can see kind of how it moves. Ears. When I wear it, I do usually wear it with this, which is Vilya, which is Elrond's ring. Maglor does not actually have any connection to the rings other than that Elrond had one, and they were forged by Celebrimbor, who is Maglor's nephew. And this is all super confusing, and I've probably lost most of you. So, yes, that's R2-D2. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There will be more videos later that are hopefully less confusing than this one. Bye.